Lost live just now. Looks like we're live. Okay, I'm starting even though I can't see myself yet. Hello people, and welcome to another studio session. I'm your host, Rob Jones from ProducerTech.com, home of quality online music training. And today I'm going to be doing a music production workshop using mainly Loopcloud that's now in version 6, which is a superb free software suite consisting of an app and 2 instrument plugins called Drum and Play. So I'll do a bit of an intro first for anyone that's new to the software, is just wondering how to use it. But we'll fairly quickly move on to the new features in version 6, which are the main things I want to be focusing on today. So you can learn about some of the amazing updates to the software, where we got things like audio filters that allow you to search much more specifically for certain samples based around things like the frequency content, the length, the rhythmic density and swing, and even envelope characteristics like the length of attack of a one-shot, say. There's also a big addition in the form of AI from Jammerhook. So you can get the algorithms to search for samples for you now, which is also really awesome. Then there's a few new effects and other bits and pieces too. So we'll get to that shortly. I'm just going to see if I can see myself yet. Still can't see myself there, so I'm just going to pull up the Twitch on here so I can see the chat. Oh, it's playing the trailer, of course. All right, well, I can see the chat though now, so yep. Don't be a stranger. Say hello in the chat. If you have any questions as we go about anything, I'll try to answer as many questions as I can. So yeah, before we get started, if you're liking what you're learning about today, then obviously go to loopcloud.com to grab the software for yourself. And if you want to learn more about production, then you can head to ProducerTech.com and check out our membership, where there's a 2-week free trial giving access to all of the courses on the site, plus all of the bonus weekly member content, which consists of live streams like this from myself and other professional artists on the site. And we've really got some of the best producers when it comes to all sorts of genres, from house and techno to drum and bass music, and even more mainstream pop acts coming in now as well. So there's a ton of stuff to learn. Anyway, let's get into Loopcloud now. And like I said, I'll start with an intro to the software to kind of show you the basics, so you can kind of familiarize yourself with it. So switch over to here, stick these bad boys on, and yeah, so this is Loopcloud, and this is the it's going to be hot with these on today. This is the Loopcloud app. So what it is a standalone app which runs separately from your other music software, and you can use it completely on its own if you want to find particular sounds or come up with ideas, because you can use it very comprehensively to build up ideas down here in the player, as it's a multi-track player, and I'll show you how to do that in a moment. But you can also use it along with your DAW if you just want to kind of go back and forth and dip into it temporarily just to grab one loop or sequence a one shot into a loop that you can play along with what's playing in your DAW, so you can make sure it sounds right, and then you can pull that loop out of Loopcloud into your DAW. So we're going to do a bit of that as well. But before we get into all that, I'm just going to introduce you to the basics of the app so you can kind of get a bit more familiar. So it has 2 tabs when it first loads up. We've got this home one, and we've got the library one. So the library one is your own personal sample collection. Now this might be sample packs you've bought at loopmasters.com, and they'll all just appear in here. A lot of these are going to be, because I've been using it for a long time, sample packs that I've got one sample from, so it shows all of them here now, so we've got a long list. But this can also be your own personal sample collection that you've got from anywhere, and all you have to do to use it with Loopcloud is drag it into this library, and the software automatically tags everything up. So you can see, for instance, here I've got my Machine 2 library that I've dragged in. I've dragged in all of the one-shots. And when I dragged it in, it's analyzed them. It's given them the relevant instrument tags. And it does this much more intelligently now in version 6, where you don't even need to have a sample with an obvious name like a clap. It can recognize instruments anyway, just from the sample, which is a pretty amazing addition as well. So yeah, whether you want to come in and use this as a service to buy tons of samples if you don't have that many, or try it out with your own library, sample library first, then you can totally do that, because it's a free bit of software, and you can import your own library in and make use of all of the features just for organizing your own collection, for finding samples more easily, for even sequencing them into ideas down the bottom here. On the Home tab, on the other hand, this is like the home page of the Loopmasters website, essentially. So it shows you all of the latest packs in various different genres, new releases, tech house, and so on. Mostly sample packs on there, but we do have 2 sections here for the 2 instrument preset packs. So you've got Loopcloud Drum, Loopcloud Play, and then you can check out what's new there as well. But yeah, everything else is there is sample packs. So that's the 2 kind of modes, and you'll see as I start to search for samples that we get more and more tabs appearing here. This is where you create additional sample searches. So you can search for samples by typing into the box at the top here, or just by clicking on any tags for things that you want to find. I personally find the quickest way is just to start typing up the top here, like if you want to find a kick, start typing, and then the tag appears, and then you just click on it, and then it adds that tag to the list. So we'll be doing plenty of that in a minute, but I'll just show you the other way, of course, is to, find a pack that you like. Let's say this milk and sugar one. Click on that. And what happens is it creates a new tab here for that sample pack. And then you can start searching down through the different samples in the pack. Now, of course, at the moment, it's just displaying them in a long list, which isn't much use to me, but there are 2 different ways here that I can drill down into the pack, and that's by either clicking on the different tags here, or by using the new product filter, which is like a separate search, but just on the tab for the sample pack itself. So this is an awesome new addition. So for example, now I could add the kick tag there. I could click on loops, and then I can check out all of the different kind of kick loops you've got in the pack. So as soon as I clicked on one of these samples, you can see it loads down the bottom here into the player. Let's just check the audio is coming through. If I hit the space bar now or click on play, yeah, it's coming through. Just going to turn it up a bit. Cool. And it'll switch out the sample when I click on another one. So just to show you how quickly now you can, for example, build up a load of loops and make use of the multi-track features down here in the player, I'm just going to basically search for a load of other loops and then stack them up on top of each other to show you, just how much you can do down here. How did I manage to repitch that kick? It's better. Yeah, so all I have to do now is click on the next track along, and then I can load another sample into there. I'll just keep the chat window there so I can see what's going on. That's good, no questions coming in yet. Good, must be doing something right. So yeah, get rid of the kick now, and I'll go for hat. Keep it on loops. When I click on one of those now, you can see it now loads it into track 2. So we got our kick in track 1, and we've got our hat in track 2. And I can mute either one. And I can just keep going on, just let's search for a bass loop now. Yeah, picked a nice pack there. solid house loops. And now we've got our kind of melodic sound in there. We can check out what other melodic sounds we can add alongside it. So I'm going to search for maybe synth loops. Now I can see back on this bass loop, by the way, you can see from the name here that it's in D. And because of that, D has been automatically selected here in the player. So when I come onto this track, if I want to automatically repitch one of these synth loops to my key, I can do that really easily with this key lock switch. So first of all, these ones are already in D, so they're not going to need to be repitched. But yeah, that one is in G sharp, so if I want to repitch it to D, I have to hit the key lock there with the D selected, and then it will repitch it down to D for me. Might try it up an octave actually. Yeah, so you've got sample repitching of each one of these tracks as well, which is a really handy feature for starting to stack up different melodic sounds with each other. I'll just show you actually how we've got the filtering available within this pack searching. So this is two of the new features in version 6 now. One is the ability to search through packs using the tag search here. The other one is making use of the massively expanded audio filters section on the end here, which used to previously just contain this key and major minor stuff there, and also the matching tempo. So it just contained that and that. Now you've got all these additional sliders here, allowing you to select parts of the spectrum. So you can choose higher frequency or lower frequency loops or one-shots. You can select sample length. You can change the stereo width, so it's just mono or just really wide, for instance. You can even get into the rhythm of the actual loop to make it really swung. If you turn this range right up to the top there, or really complex or simple in terms of rhythmic density. So you've got so many really awesome options on there. Just to demonstrate one of those. So if I'm searching for a drum loop here, you can see you get quite a lot of variety coming up there if I scroll down through them. You've got some which are just fills, some that are very high frequency, low frequency, and the color, by the way, is showing because I've got the new skin selected, which is called Neutral Dark, which is a really, really nice new skin. And I've got the full spectrum multicolor waveforms, which is only a feature of the dark themes. I fully recommend you have that turned on because, as you can see, it allows you to see the frequency content of the loop quite clearly. So I can see I've got some lower frequency loops straight away, like this one, which is going to be a very kick-centric loop. Whereas these other ones are going to be higher frequency because they're blue. So if I want to filter out, as it were, some of these lower frequency loops, I can just bring the range up so it's really only at the top there. And now we're getting only really the blue ones coming up, which is only the highest frequency loops, like top loops, other hat loops, ride cymbals, all that kind of thing. But yeah, if some of them were a bit busy and I wanted something that was a bit less complex, I could just turn down the complexity, try and make it a bit simpler. Maybe because there's not so many options, that's not bringing up those options there. But no, you've got the option of basically using several of these to search through sample packs now. So that's an amazing new addition there. So yeah, let's move outside of the pack now and just maybe add another loop from the store at large, as it were. To do that, I just click on the plus at the top here, and that starts a new search. And now I can search for anything in the store and the library, or just one or the other if I deactivate the button there. So let's go for vocal. Actually, let's go for maybe one of the sub types, like yeah, so within here, you can either search for a vocal, and in doing that, it will search for all of these different subcategories. So anything from, a sung line, female, male voice, robotic voice, spoken word stuff. But if you want to narrow it down, you can choose one of these subcategories like rap, for example. So I could go for rap. I could then match the tempo. And you can see how it then adds these tags up to the top here on this search. And these ones can easily be removed by just clicking the crosses. But this then brings up a list of search results that are searching through all of the different sample packs in the collection. And you can see there's a lot coming up here. We've got 105 results of 638. So you get a bunch to choose from. Just click on one.
You outside all night on the asphalt. Come inside, bottle service, get your glass poured. You outside all night on the asphalt. Come inside, bottle service, get your glass poured. You outside all night on the asphalt. Come inside, bottle service, get your glass poured. You outside all night on the asphalt. Come inside, bottle service, get your glass poured.
They like, damn, how you get so much these, bro? Cause I've been writing since young and yet.
Searching for the songs, I got the rest.
Yo, I see you, girl. Come watch your name. Seen you on the dance floor a lot doing the thing.
Yeah, and you can just click through the samples and just find something you like. If you're finding you're getting a list of results with loads of different variety in there, and you find one that's sort of almost there but not quite, then you can also use the AI. And we're going to be looking at this a fair bit in some of the other examples. But when you click on this little match button here, you have a few different options: harmonic matches, rhythmic matches, and find similar. And when you click on Find Similar, it will bring up a list of samples on a new tab that are similar to this one. Now, there's not really any need to do it for this in this case, actually, because they're all pretty similar male voices. You can see from the coloration that, yeah, they're basically similar kind of sounds. So yeah, we'll get into that a little bit more later on. So yeah, that's a kind of introduction to the kind of basics, really, of the software and how it works. So when you want to then get the sounds out of the software, well, first of all, you don't need to get anything out of the software just yet if you don't want to. And this is one of the cool things about it. Supposing you just come up with this particular groove and you just wanted to sit on it for a while, you don't need to commit to buying any of these samples at this particular stage. You can just save it as an idea for later on, which you can do using the edit menu here. You just click on the menu, save session, and then you just save it to your computer, and you can even send that file to someone else, and then they can open it up in Loopcloud, check it out. They can come in and they can switch out any of these samples, like add a different kick loop in there. So you can go kind of back and forth with friends or people you're collaborating with without committing to any of the samples as yet. And then when you find the sounds you like, and you can then hit the buy button, buy any you don't have, and at that point then export them out. So yeah, it really is a sort of economical way of doing it, really, working with Loopcloud in this way. So let's say though now I wanted to commit to these sounds, I wanted to get them into my DAW. All you have to do is click buy, and then it asks you whether to buy one or buy all. So I'll buy all, 6 points. And as we'll be seeing, there's plenty of free sounds in Loopcloud as well, and you can actually even search for sounds using the free tag, and you'll find plenty of options coming up that way as well. But if you have a Loopcloud subscription, then you'll have points, and you get plenty of points a month. In terms of free sounds, I think you get something like 150 new sounds a week, maybe more. So the library is always going up. Let me just see if I have any questions yet. Not seeing any coming in, so I think we're all right. Yeah, so once you've got your samples, all you have to do is use the export button here to drag them out. Now this is another one of the features in Loopcloud 6. This has been expanded now to allow a load of different options to make things easier. So you can either choose because obviously we're working with lots of tracks here. You don't necessarily have to do that. You could just work with one track at a time if you really wanted to. But if you're working with lots of tracks, then you need to make sure you've got the right mode selected here. So we could just drag all the samples out as original separate files. It will just, because we're basically working with entirely loops, so we wouldn't need to do, we can choose original separate files or process separate files, and it's not really going to matter too much. I'm going to choose processed because maybe I made some adjustments to the level using the faders and all that kind of thing. So all I have to do then is click the export, drag it out, and you can see we've got our loops here, which I can then drag out into my DAW, onto separate tracks here. And there you have it. Copy it out. Copy it again. Actually, make sure you don't have a fade on the start here. Duplicate that out. Yeah, sometimes I like to do it with processed because I might be working at a different tempo to some of the samples in my project. And if you drag out process, then even if you haven't made any changes, it will re-synchronize, it will re-pitch, like time stretch all of those loops for you. So I kind of get in the habit of dragging out the process versions generally. Also, if there's any re-pitching, so because we re-pitch this synth loop to D, if we buy that one, if we drag out the original, it will drag out the loop at its original pitch, which was G sharp. But if we drag out the processed current track, it will drag out a version that's been re-pitched to D for us. Just turn all those down.
Come watch your name. See you on the dance floor, like doing thing.
Get rid of that. Oh no, actually, should show you that. As we've done the processed one, often you want to turn off warping because Live will warp them automatically a lot of the time. But if you dragged out the correctly time stretched one,
Yo, I see you, girl. Come watch your name.
Then just turn warping off and it will make sure it's synchronized to the right time for you. So yeah, so that's a kind of just intro to how to get some sounds going, how to search in a pack, how to use the multi-track feature in Loopcloud, and then also how to get the sounds out of the software using the expanded export button. So we'll get into another example now where I will show you how to like build up a groove, basically beats. We'll get a house beat going down in the player here. In the meantime, if you do have any questions. So processed is the choice. This is Rome 1. So processed is the choice if made any adjustments in Loopcloud. Exactly that. Yeah, literally any changes you've made here, and that can be adjusting the level, which you can do in a few places. You can do on the sample itself by dragging the top, which we'll see when we start to sequence some patterns in a minute. You could adjust the level down here, also even just the master. Repitching here. Of course, any editing, if I was to chop things up, which again we'll look at more in a minute, but any editing you've done there by slicing things up, adding fades, trimming, etc. All the things you can do with these tools here. And then adding any effects. So if you add any effects on there too, they will also be added to that processed version. Sometimes when I add effects to sounds though, I want to drag out a kind of dry version without the effects as well as with the effects. So in those instances, I drag out the processed version each time, but I just turn the effects off in the chain here to create my sort of dry version without effects, but still with all the settings down here. Right. Oh. Will you cover bringing in samples and loops from, say, a YouTube download and put it in Loopcloud, then export? I wouldn't be able to do that because of copywriting, but I mean, I can show you with a sample that I have got from the machine library here. as a quick example, let's just get rid of all these tracks. So to reset your project, the quickest way is just to, or session, sorry, as it's called, right click down here, clear all tracks. Just going to clear these tabs. Let's say I wanted to find a clap from my machine library. So I search for clap, I search for machine. There's one. So again, this is just a sample I've dragged in from my computer, and it's been tagged up so I can easily find it in a search like that. And then I can just come to the pattern section and I can choose some kind of general clap pattern. And then I just export that. It renders it as a loop, and then I drag that out into live. And there we have a clap loop kind of ready-made. Hey presto. And it works exactly the same way, obviously, wherever you've got the sample from. If you record it or download it from YouTube or buy it from a different source, then yeah, it works in exactly the same way. So Loopcloud would then warp and set in key, then add tutor for easy repurchase and warping. It would, yeah. Yeah, if it's a loop and say it's a 1-bar loop, yeah, it analyzes it for its time signature, analyzes the transient content, and then will add it as a loop in the same way all the other ones get added to the player down here. And if it's at the wrong pitch, if it's too fast or slow, you can use the ×2 and divide by 2 switches, just like you can in a DAW. And yeah, away you go. Will it save that loop separately? Will it save that loop separately? Oh, so what, the one I exported? It to the library. It's a good question. No, it doesn't save all loops when you render them. But if you click on here, you can save to a sort of custom folder in your Loopcloud library. And you can just click on the export to location and choose the use custom folder. And that way you can quickly save it to a custom folder if you want to save it for later on. Yeah, I don't do that personally, but yeah, you can totally do that. I hope that's answered all your questions. Hey Stebley, what's up? If you have any questions, hit me up. If not, I will move on to the second example. Awesome, all good. So let's get rid of that. So now we're going to basically get a little bit more creative down here and create our patterns with one-shots. Last time we just stuck to loops, so we kept it kind of nice and simple. So I'm just checking. I think my dog might have just come back in. He might start scratching on the door. So we're going to search for some kick one-shots now. So again, I'm just going to the top search bar, typing in kick, and then I choose one-shots. And I can narrow it down to a genre, which I could pick from the genres menu, or just type something in. I'm going to go with Tech House. Round 1 just started with Loopcloud, love it. So this is perfect, thanks all. Nice one, awesome. Yeah, it's just an amazing app. I'm really thrilled to be able to show it to you guys, and it's become, you know, my go-to basically for everything. It was the most exciting addition to my collection since I first discovered Ableton in something shocking like 2004. So yeah, so we just choose a kick one shot here. Okay, these are all going to be absolutely huge. Let's just turn it down a bit, make sure I don't deafen everyone. Yeah, that's not quite what I'm after, a bit too meaty. Actually, that second one was all right. Yeah, that might do. We can always change it later. For now, though, I'm going to go to my patterns, go to the kick presets and go to house and just go to the 4/4 kick. Nice and straightforward. So yeah, the reason this is maybe preferable to using a loop is I can now come in, do a search for kick one shots and just click through the different ones to have them switch up in the player. It's nice. Keep it on that one for now. Moving on then to the next track. So track 2, going to do a similar thing, only now I'll search for snare one shots. And yeah, tech house again. And again, I'm just going to go straight to snares and claps, house, and then check out these different house patterns. More or less the same. They've just got the snare on 2 and 4, but with a little kind of fill at the end there. It's quite nice. I'm just going to bring down the level a little bit. Again, that's just on the slider in the corner here. Nice. And track 3 now. Track 3. What should we go for? Hat. One shots. Just go for regular house this time. You can see you can search for a few different hi-hats. You can go for closed or open. And if you go for just regular hi-hats, you might get a bit of variety going on. And that's where it's sort of useful to come into the one shots envelopes in the new expanded audio filters section, where you've got attack and decay control there. So some of these have a slightly slower transient. You can see they kind of fade in a bit more gradually. Like this one, for instance. Actually, it's quite rapid, so that's not a good example, but that one's a bit softer. Obviously, some of them are really long. So if you want to simplify it a little bit, you can come in here and just make sure they're all short samples, say, and maybe they all have just a really rapid attack. It's going to give you some kind of snappier one-shots there. Okay, let's go for that one. Then come into the patterns, go to hats and shakers. Once again, I'll just go with house. Okay, that clap's a bit weird. Let's go back to this snare, let's change it. If you want a solo one, you can just hit the solo there. And it's amazing how much variety you can get with even as something like a snare, you know, so many different kinds. Some are dry, some are affected, some are really layered. So if you find one that's in the right direction, again, I could go to the match here. I could find similar sounds, and then it will search for sounds that are as similar to this as possible. Sometimes, yeah, we'll look at the tags a little bit, but mostly I think focuses on purely the kind of sonic characteristics. So you can see how similar it gets, and you get a little bar here showing you the similarity as well. The further you get away from it, the less similar it is. But right at the top here, so they're all like kind of layered. They've all got a clap and a snare in there. They're all really short, and they've all got lots of nice effects on there, and I think they're all pretty wide as well. So yeah, let's just go with that one for now. If you want to make any shorter, by the way, let me just show you how to do that, because this one's nice, but it's far too long. So I'm just going to hold down the shift key and click on them, and then I'm going to drag this so they're all shorter. There you go, and that's made them all nice and snappy and short. Increase the fade a little bit there as well. Yeah, so let's move on. Next track. What should we add now? Let's do percussion. So start a new search again by clicking up the top here. Percussion, one shots. And again, this is another one that's very wide. If we look up here, search for percussion, you can see you get all of these different kinds of sounds, which are all like really different. We've got everything from timpani to triangle, you know, to queaker and cowbell and woodblock and all sorts. So it can be easier to use the audio filters when you want to search for a particular type of percussion sound. For instance, I don't really want a high frequency percussion sound. This is to like create the groove to go along with the main drums. So I can use the tone slider here to roll them off, just really kind of focus on the lower frequencies, like maybe the low mids. Now you can see we get a load of green waveforms here, which is handy. So if I click on this one, for instance, let's just solo it. So we get samples that are all kind of within the same sort of range. And again, we could use more of the filters here to drill down into it more if we wanted to really set the length or anything like that. I'm going to keep it like this though. We're just going to create our own pattern with this one. I could come in and go to the percussion and scroll through some of the patterns there, but I'll just show you how to do a little bit more pattern editing down in the bottom here in the player now. So to create more slices, I just have to duplicate this one here, which I can do in a number of ways, right-clicking and choosing duplicate, or using the keyboard shortcut, Command D, or holding down the Command key on my Mac or Control on a PC and then just dragging it out. And then you've got a few different slices here, which you can move around, you can delete. They're all dragging to the grid at the moment, because I have the grid set to snap. And it's set to auto, which is generally the best way to work as well, so you can have it change when you zoom in and out. But if you need to change it, you can come in and set it to a particular time, like 16th, say. So yeah, let's create a rhythm here to go with the other drums. Let's find a high frequency layer to go with this. Sometimes it can be good to actually stack up sounds on top of each other. And if you create a really nice pattern here, or like you're using a particular preset, you can move on to the next sound and then just choose the same pattern. Now, if it's a new one you've created yourself, you just have to save that pattern by going Save Pattern, saving it, then going to the next track and loading that pattern up, because it'll appear in your user presets section down the bottom there. And then you can easily kind of layer two sounds together, which can be really nice. For this one though, we're going to go percussion one shots. And this time I'm going to set the tone to high, so you can find something a little bit different. So now we're getting into, you know, tambourines, shakers, stuff like that. And the percussion patterns can be quite nice here, like for example the bongos. It's kind of sounding like a shaker now, so I could have gone to the shaker patterns there, but I'm just going to mute these other drums and hear it with my percussion on its own here. So what I'm doing here is I'm doing something without explaining it to you, which is totally rubbish of me. But yeah, the other option to deleting a slice by just clicking it and then hitting delete is to double click it. And if you do that, you can see it goes grayed out, and at that point it's just muted. So it can be a really nice thing to do if you select one of these preset patterns but you don't want all of these slices to be heard, but you're not quite sure, you want to try different things out. Obviously you don't want to delete things to have them disappear, so it can be nice just to mute them, double click them, check things out, and then yeah, and leave it as is when you're happy. Another thing you can do is you can also duplicate the whole lot by dragging over them. So I do by clicking on the end here, dragging over the whole lot, duplicating it out, and then once you've got it going around a second time, you can then change it up a little bit. Let's try that with the rest. Let's try a different sound as well with it, something less shakery. What else we got here? Don't really want claps though. Let's maybe go a bit higher. Still got some claps in there. Actually, what I might do is go to just sort of the high mid, somewhere a little bit kind of higher than the previous one. Anyway, yeah, you can play around with different sounds. As you see, you can narrow down the frequency range you're kind of searching in, which can be amazing. You can re-pitch the sounds, play around with it until you find it's got a groove that you're liking. As you can see from these preset patterns, the thing that makes them kind of interesting and dynamic is the different properties of each one of these slices here. Because don't forget, these are all just the same one-shot duplicated over and over again. So the way that you create a dynamic pattern is to have the level going up and down, is to have the length changing, or even sometimes the start position of the sample. And you can do all that using the tools here. So just to show you with our first percussion loop. So we might want to kind of trim some of these. If you need to trim off the grid, rather than come up here and turn it off, by the way, you can just hold down Shift and then you can trim it freely. And then I can create fades on the start and end here, which are really convenient for getting rid of clicks, say, especially when you start scrubbing through samples. And then maybe let's play with the levels a little bit, bring this one down. Yeah, we can even let's make this one a touch quieter. And let's try changing the start time a little bit, just to mix it up a bit from this one. It's only a slight change there. Just doesn't have quite such a bright transient, but these sorts of changes can really make a difference, basically, rather than having exactly the same sound happening over and over again. Cool. Yeah, so basically creating your own patterns, really easy to do, just duplicating slices by holding the command key, control on a PC, dragging them out, and then just making adjustments to the level by dragging the top, to the edge, to the length by dragging the edge, by trimming it, and and also adding fades here. We'll do more of that a bit later on. First of all, let's just sort of finish off our groove here with a few more sounds, and also just check the chat, see how much I've missed. Okay, not too bad. No, it looks all right. Cool. All right, so yeah, so let's just get a few more sounds in here, and then we'll save it, and that will be our kind of beats template saved. So what other sounds might you like to have? You could have a shaker in there. There's two ways to go with a shaker. Obviously, a shaker loop can actually be really nice, particularly when it's a live one, because that's the way of adding, obviously, proper variety to your groove, is to have a loop that's been recorded, because there's going to be all sorts of differences throughout that loop. So if we go shaker loops and we match tempo, and then we can see what comes up here. Obviously, if you just match the tempo, because we're in a kind of house range here, then you're mostly going to get house and techno stuff coming up. But look, you can see here we've got South American, we've got, you know, trap. You'll get funk and soul coming up a fair bit as well, that kind of thing. So I could even just search for that there. Let's go for like funk. Maybe it'll bring up funk, or disco might bring up something that's properly recorded, like this one maybe. Let's just solo it. It's quite nice. So yeah, that's one way to go, find a loop basically. Another way to go is to sequence it yourself again, which you can do by searching for a shaker one shot. And you know, we can do this really quickly ourselves using the different presets. Obviously, once again, you can just go to hats and shakers and then go to house, choose one pattern from there, go to, oh, general has the shaker patterns in. But you can create your own as well. If I just reset that, the way you can do it, probably the quickest way, there's a couple, but the first one is just to go to the bars and beats. And in bars and beats, you can very quickly create, for example, a pattern of 16ths. You do that by going to beats here, and you go to straight 16ths. And then you can come in and just change all the levels, for example, to create a sort of pattern that's the way you want. Another way, though, is to set the grid to 16ths, especially if you want to be changing the levels yourself here. And then create 4 by hitting duplicate there. Hope I wasn't doing that too fast for anyone. You just trim down the edge. Let me just undo all that. So I came in, I reset it, so it comes back to the one shot in full. So that's the whole sample there. I've then gone to the edge here after setting my grid to 16ths, because I can't really see it on this monitor. And then I just come drag the edge, and it just drags it down, so we got a 16th here. And you can see here are the beats, 1, 2, 3, 4. So I can see now we got like 4 slots here for my 16ths. And then I just click on this one, hit Command D, and that gives us our first beat of 16ths. So all I need to do now is then drag the top to create whatever kind of pattern we want. So I'm thinking like something like that. And yeah, we can come in and add some fades as well. Just add a bit of kind of randomization. We can also use scrub to sort of select a slightly different part. And all these little tweaks, they're the things that are gonna add more kind of naturalness and variety to the sound. And then, yeah, and then you can just duplicate that pattern out across the whole bar, again, by just dragging over it, duplicate, and then we've got our bar long shaker loop. And yeah, if we wanted to, of course, we could come in and just make little changes to each one of these, so it's not quite such an obvious repeating loop, but it depends how detailed we want to get in our editing. Oops, sorry. Yeah, that one works quite well. If you start scrubbing through samples too much in your patterns, be aware that sometimes when you select a certain pattern, you might have scrubbed too far. You can see a lot of these are just silence now. So then you'd have to come in and use the scrub tool to select the relevant part, but this sample's a little bit too small, so you're better just going with the longer ones. Again, though, that's why these audio filters can be really handy. If you know your pattern is using a longer sample to start with, then you can just search for only samples over a certain length. And that way you'll only find samples that are going to work with your pattern. So just checking in the chat again. Yeah, cool. So one more sound, maybe let's go for a Atmos. So I'm just clicking on the last track there. You can't see behind me, but track 8, new search, just for like Atmos. Actually, I think we want Foley. Foley's the one to search for if you want the sort of, background sounds of chatting and just Foley, basically recorded environments. Let's have a listen to this one. See how that sounds. That sounds a little bit like the old bird noise you used to get on the app. So yeah, this is the kind of sound you want to have really low in the mix. It's just providing that bit of realness. So yeah, there's our kind of groove created, and we can now save this to, like I said before, to send to someone, or just as a template that's creating all of the main kind of sounds that we might want to get going with in a project. So if we want to create a new track later on, all we have to do is load up this same session and then switch out a few of the sounds, switch up the kick and all the different drums and sounds. And then you've got a brand new groove ready to go. So I'm going to save that. I'm going to call it House Beat. And there it is. And once again, I'm going to drag these sounds out into live. I'll just get rid of the ones from before. Just to show you, by the way, if I add in the Loopcloud plugin to Ableton, then you can see the differences between how it behaves on its own, completely in standalone, and whilst working with the DAW. So if I add Loopcloud to this first MIDI track, there's the plugin. It's now connected to the app there, and I've actually mapped a couple of buttons on my MIDI controller here to play and stop, which makes it a little bit more straightforward to work with the app. But if I if I play it now, at the moment the DAW is set to 124, but if I now increase it up to 155, and now I check out Loopcloud, you can see it's also changed the tempo there. So these are the differences to the way it functions when not in standalone mode. As soon as it's connected to a DAW, as it says, can you see that behind me? No, I have to go the other way, don't I? Connected to Ableton Live. As soon as it says that and it's connected happily, then there are two differences. One, you can see the BPM now locking to my project. And the other thing is the audio, instead of now routing out of my whatever I've got set in here in the audio prefs, it now routes into live. So yeah, those are the two differences. So now if I have my project set to 127, say, and I go back to Loopcloud and I export these out, and I go to processed separate files. So this is the time when we want to be using processed. We don't want to be going for the originals here because it's just going to drag out all of the one-shot samples on their own. So we definitely want to have the button set to processed separate files here. Processed, by the way, the difference between processed separate files and processed current mix are the current mix will bounce everything out as a single loop. So actually, just to show you that, current mix, drag that out. Ooh, buy any samples you don't own. Yeah, drag that out. So now this will be my whole groove here. There you go. That's the whole lot. Or if I want to drag them all out separately, I go to process separate files, drag them out. Now you can see we've got 6 loops now. So it hasn't dragged out the muted ones. It's ignored those. And once again, there they all are. And again, I can select them all and turn off warping because I dragged out the process versions, so they're going to be all synchronized to my project. Get rid of any fades if I have them, and then just duplicate them out. And there's our drums, and duplicate that whole lot out, and there's a whole groove. So easy as that. Now there is another way of creating your beats using the software, and that's using one of the instruments, Loopcloud Drum, and it's a much easier and quicker way of doing it. So there are some advantages to using the app to do it, and I certainly like to kind of teach how to make beats with it as a means of getting to know the software, because I think it's a good way. But if you want to get going really quickly with some beats, then Loopcloud Drum is actually the easiest way of doing that, because you can load up the presets really quickly, and you can then use the amazing randomize feature to switch out all of the drums just by clicking one button. So it's an incredible way to do it, and I'll show you how to do that quickly now before I move on to showing you some more features in Loopcloud with the melodic sound. So let me just check all these levels. They're all kind of all right. I'll just leave them there for now. See how that sounds. Let's turn this right down. Cool, yeah, there's our groove. So I'm just going to group these together for now then. So I can just mute them. Again, if you're new to live, you just have to click on one track, hold down Shift, click on the other one, and then choose the group keyboard shortcut, or right click and go for group tracks. Command G. And it places them all in a group here that I can just minimize with the button there. So it's a good way of just instantly controlling them all with one track there. Now I'm going to create a couple of new MIDI tracks and add Loopcloud Drum just to show you. yeah, how easy and amazing this is. And the cool thing with the latest update, which came literally just after the version 6 release, was a massive boost to the amount of one-shots that you get now with Loopcloud Drum. So if I go to the purchase tab here, I might have to reload that because it's loaded a broken beta testing kit. Ouch, that's going to hurt. A kit that got removed from the library because it had an issue, and it's just loaded that up automatically. Whoa! And my mum's calling again. It's all happening. Oh yeah, it's like live TV, folks. Let me just quit this. I have to drag those bits out again. Stop that. Let's open up live. See if there are any more questions actually while I'm doing that. Would you like to recover your work? Yeah. Should work. So let's just check the questions. No. Rome 1, so dope, love this part of Loopcloud. Yeah, it's awesome, isn't it? So yeah, so that's loaded all that stuff back up. That's okay. Has it loaded Loopcloud Drum in? Yes. Bad request. Good. Okay, that's fine. So let's go to the library here now. So sorry about that. Buggy. That's a problem if you load sort of beta testing software or stuff that's still in development. Really shouldn't be used on streams. So you've got all these expansion packs with Loopcloud Drum, but you don't even need to buy those. I bought a load of those, but you could just come into the starter kits here and choose one of the starter kits there, and they'll get you straight into the kind of beat that you might want. But the expansion packs are also great for that. And I think I was in the middle of saying why the latest release is so awesome, and it is because I'll just load in one of these kits first. It's because the library's been expanded with 500 extra one-shots thanks to Intro 2 drums, Intro 2 kits. It's in there somewhere, can't see it. It's one of the free ones you get basically, and it's enough of a reason to download Loopcloud in itself, because again, you get the free instrument, this one, Loopcloud Drum, and you get 1,000 one-shots that come with it. So you get a ton of free kits by really awesome artists, and you get 1,000 one-shots for free as well, straight away. And what that means is you can load up these different kits, like I've just loaded up this house one. Let's just turn it down. Come in straight away, and I could now click on any one of these pads, which opens up the randomizer here. I can select all pads, and I can hit randomize. And I've got a lot of sounds here, but if you've just downloaded Loopcloud, then you have a ton that'll come up, even if you've never bought a sample from Loopmasters before. Select all pads. Oh. Yeah. So I can turn on airplane mode because I don't really need my phone to check the chat anymore. Yeah, my mum likes to do this. If I don't pick up, then it's an emergency. I'm 42 years old, but my mum is still my mum. So here's the kit. Let's just go in again because it's being a bit strange. Let's load up this kit. Okay, here we go. It's looking good. It's got all of the drums loaded in now. So I just click on any one of these drums. The randomizer opens up. I select all pads, which selects all of them now, and then I hit the randomizer. And then it downloads them and then just adds them into the kit. So I'm just going to delete all of these because mute all of these because actually I'm only interested in the main drums here, not all of these kind of synth sounds and stuff. Randomize again. And if I want to, actually, I could refine the search to make it a little bit tougher. So I'm going to get rid of house and I'm going to select tech house. There you go. Search again. Quite a lot of variety in the house. Okay, nice. Randomize again. Let's go again. And you can just go for as long as you like. It's quite nice until you find something you like. And of course, you don't have to randomize them all at the same time. You can just click on an individual one and just randomize that. The other thing you can see down here, it's playing quite a lot of different patterns, so I could simplify that at the moment. I think these later ones get a bit crazier with the hats. Let's maybe go for H there. So this is a each one of these is a 1-bar preset pattern, and you can switch them individually by clicking on them here. So I can hear that A sounds like that, whereas H sounds like this. Nice little break on the end there. So if I turn that on, it's now going to play A, B, A, H. Like that, a nice little 4-bar pattern with a bit of variety going on. So obviously this is a much quicker way of getting going with your beats, and yeah, and you can randomize instantly without having to search for different things like you do in Loopcloud in the app. So Loopcloud Drum is a really awesome way of building up your drum sounds as well. You can also go in and start building up percussion, which I was going to do, but because we're a little bit short of time now with it coming up for 10 past, I won't do that now. But yeah, once you've got your main drums with one instance of Loopcloud, and it can even be just a kick and a snare and a hat, you know, if you really simplify it down, it's great to open up a project and just have those sounds ready to go, and then you just come in, hit that randomize button, switch them out, and your session has got its main drums in there instantly. So it's a really quick way of getting going. And yeah, I do tend to use a second instance of Loopcloud, and I load up one of the percussion kits. All of those expansion packs you can get have top loop kits, so you can just load up a top loop there and do the same thing, hit randomize, and it will add all those cool, like groovy syncopated percussion. Yeah, so that's all you need, like a project, 2 instances of Loopcloud Drum, and you can get going with your main drums straight away. As an alternative to going the way we went before, which is coming to the Loopcloud app, opening up your saved session with all your drums in, and then switching up the sounds and then exporting them out. So that's the other way to go. Both pretty quick and real time savers for the kinds of processes that you tend to do over and over again when you make music. So we're just gonna see if there's any more questions. I can't see any, so that's good. And what I thought I'd do for the last example is create some melodic sounds. So, sorry, I need to switch these around. It's going to drive me crazy. It's better. So I saved my session here, so I'm going to delete it. Right click down here, clear all tracks. I'm also just going to clear these searches to make it a bit tidier. And now we're going to create some melodic sounds to go with this. We'll probably just about have time for, what sounds was I going to do? Bass. We'll do a bass loop, like I was thinking like an acid sort of bass line. We'll do like a pad layer, and if we've got time, we'll do vocal chops as well. I really wanted to show you the 2 other features that we haven't seen, the really awesome AI features in Loopcloud 6, which are rhythmic and harmonic matching. So maybe I'll cut out, I was going to do like some bass loop bass one-shot sequencing. Maybe I'll cut that out just in case we run out of time, and I'll add it on the end if we can fit it in. We've got another 20 minutes. So I'm going to go for bass loop, and I'm going to match tempo. And actually, I'll change it to synth bass, because again, bass is a pretty wide category. If I go to the instruments section here, you can see bass contains upright bass, bass guitar, sub. So we're just going to go synth bass, and let's go for acid house. So it's bringing up stuff within that BPM range, and because we've not looked at this yet, if I play my sounds from here now, I'll just loop it. Oh yeah, we've still got this one sounding as well. Let me turn off Loopcloud drum. You can hear if I start my project now, which I'll do using the buttons on my controller. Oh no, it's set to session. Sorry, I need to remap it, don't I? Because I quit live, didn't I? So let's just get rid of that. Go back to that. Just going to map my buttons quickly using MIDI. Oh, it looks like they are. Play, stop. There we go. Yeah, so that means that when I want to kind of stop my project, I don't have to keep switching over to live to do it. I can just use my controller here. But you'll hear now when I play the bass loops along with my project playing that the bass loops all synchronize. Let's just check the track is turned on. Yep. So there's loads of stuff coming up. There's one I've favorited. This is another cool thing that you can do in the software here. You can click the favorite switch by any one of these samples, and it then adds it to your favorites list that you can search for by clicking on the button here, which will then bring up anything you favorited with these tags. Or you can just click on favorite here, and it then brings up anything you've favorited recently. So there's quite a cool loop here I was liking. Obviously you've got some great 303 bassline options in there, which are sounding amazing. Nice. And then once you've found a loop you like, if you want to get this into the results, by the way, you can right click here and you can show in pack. Once you've got it in this section here, actually you can even just right click it here is another way of doing it rather than showing in pack like I've just done. From there you can go to search, and then you can find those AI options in there as well, so you don't need to bring it up here or here if you don't need to. But yeah, once you've got it in this window, you can click here, and then you can choose either harmonic or rhythmic matches. So this is where it's started to get revolutionary. This is where it's turned into something, you know, that can be as good as Spotify when it comes to finding new music, which I completely rely on now. It's a completely revolutionary way of searching your sample library, and the tags allow you to get really close to the sorts of sounds you're after. But if you search for a rhythmic match, say, to this bass loop, it's going to analyze the rhythmic characteristics of the bass, and it's going to come up with a list of suggestions here that are going to work rhythmically with it. And this isn't how to create layers, so it's not going to match it exactly in terms of the rhythm, it finds something that complements it. So it's gonna, a lot of these patterns are gonna fill in the gaps in between the bass, because generally you're not going to be wanting to layer something with the bass, because the bass is one of the loudest sounds in the track. So if you have something layered on top, it's going to create crazy peaks in your mix. So let's see what comes up here. You can see we've got all sorts of different sounds, from percussion to, you know, melodic sounds will come up as well. It also selects track 2 automatically for you when you do this, so it's sort of ready to go. You just have to click on some of these sounds. Actually, I'll stop live and I'll just play it from here so we can hear them on their own. So you can see it creates these rhythms that kind of play with the bass line really nicely, filling in the gaps there. And now, the thing that makes this particularly useful is you can, of course, drill down into additional tags. So rather than just searching through all the different kinds of sounds we got here, I could search for something specific, like a synth loop. Also, if we're getting into melodic sounds, then we're probably going to be wanting to repitch stuff. So this bass loop is in A, so we should set this to A as well, key lock it, and then it will repitch the different sounds here if it needs to. That's really nice. Kind of makes it a little bit wonkier, but I think you probably get the idea. Yeah, it's a really phenomenal addition to the searching area, the ability to search for these rhythmic matches, and then the fact that you can then narrow it down to a specific tag, and this works for any one of the instruments. It's just a fantastic feature. Let's show you a harmonic match. So I'll search for a pad sound. Again, I was gonna like sequence a one shot rather than finding loops, but as we're running short on time, I'll just find a loop instead. So we'll go for we'll just match tempo actually and just search for pad. And yeah, let's search for ones in A. See what comes up. Bit mental. Yeah, so you know, tons of different stuff to go through. Find something that you think works well with the bass line. Of course, we could have done a rhythmic match pad, but I'm not actually really looking for something that has a lot of rhythmic content. I'm looking for something that adds the nice kind of melodic textural layers. Again, I've got a favorite one that is going to work, which is here's one I prepared earlier. So it's, where is it? It's that one. Yeah, it's got some nice swells in it. It's got some nice gentle movement, so it goes really well with our more transient-y bass. So to create some sounds to go with this now, I'm just going to right click at the top here and I'm going to search for harmonic matches and see what comes up. You can see in the results here on this new tab, you get, that's the one we're actually searching, we're actually matching. So ignore that one, just move on to the next one. And literally just click through and hear how they sound together with the pad. And just like with the rhythm matching, if you don't narrow it down, you get all sorts of different sounds coming up. So we got horns, guitars, clavinets, stuff that I'm definitely not going to want in an acid house track. Although I have done streams where I've shown just how this can actually really make a track, because you're not searching for something specific, which can actually be a bit of a killer when it comes to creativity. You know, you sometimes you come up here and you're like, what sound do I want? And you're like trying to find something sort of obscure and then like hoping it fits with the rest of the sounds you got. But if you do a harmonic match, then it's going to take what you've got and it's going to find stuff that goes really well and then just present you with a load of options, which are going to be, some of which are going to be really random, like a clavinet. So you got all sorts of stuff, saxophone. And again, we could narrow it down, so we could just go for vocal. What I was going to do though, if we've got time,
an angel told me.
What I was going to do, but I think probably we've run out of time, so I'm not sure I'm going to have time to do it. Let's have a look, see if this is... yeah, I think basically we've run out of time, so I can't really... Yeah, no, let's squeeze it in. Let's squeeze it in. So I've got a favorite here. I'll show you when you get a longer kind of vocal loop coming up. Let's check this one out. Mr. Dance with me. Mr. Dance with me. When you got something like this, you can really quickly create a vocal chops phrase. So I'll show you how to do that. The way I like to do it is to just click on it, hit delete, go straight to the pencil tool here, and just draw in a rhythm, something like something that's a bit syncopated, something like that can be nice. Now, of course, because I've chosen a sample with silence at the start, then that's all we're hearing in these slices. But if I come straight in to the scrub tool, so I'll just set it so it's a bar long by dragging the loop end marker there. If I come to the scrub tool now, I can just scrub through the vocal. Mr. Dance me, Mr. me, Mr. me, Mr. me, Mr. me, Mr. Dance me, Mr. Dance me, Mr. me, Mr. me. Okay, it's not necessarily the best sample here, but let's see. Kind of need to hear it with the other sounds. Let's check it out with our beats. Yeah, you get the idea. Basically, you can just quickly create these sorts of rhythmic patterns and then just use the scrubber there to scrub through the sample. Make sure you find a longer vocal sample, and it really quickly creates these chops. And of course, you can then go through, try it out with some different ones. Of course, I have a favorited up here. Sounding nice. And then we can come into the effects, and of course, completely forgot to show you the new effects, which are another great addition in Loopcloud 6. But yeah, just to quickly add some reverb to this. Open up the effects section, add effect, come to reverb, and then choose one of the presets here, like vocal. And there you have it. Just to quickly show you the effects. I haven't really got many good sounds to demonstrate them on. Let's try it with our vocal. Solo it. There's 3 new effects. Compressor. So just turning it off and on there. Another addition, by the way, in Loopcloud 6 is the ability to select presets from here using the arrows or coming into the menu. Small thing, but makes a huge difference. And you can hear just how much it's picking up the reverb. You also have a new EQ, which is completely awesome as well, with some really helpful presets. Add some air, add some presence, get rid of the clean up the mids. Really nice one, remove mud there, getting rid of all these muddy frequencies in the low mids. And finally, there's this tone box, which is like a distortion box. Tons of different sounds you can get out of that, with loads of different drive options, cabinet options. Yeah, so some really, really nice additions to the collection there. And of course, all these effects can be automated to have their effects come in and out across patterns as well. But that's definitely for another time, seeing as how we only have 2 minutes left. So yeah, I think we'll probably leave it there. Let's just check out our groove one more time. Nice. Yeah, sounding pretty sweet. Let's see if you've got any more questions coming in. I've got 2 minutes, so I haven't got that much time to answer them. But yeah, I hope you guys have enjoyed the stream. Yeah, like I said before, if you want to grab Loopcloud, go to loopcloud.com and you can get hold of this amazing app, plus the 2 free plugins, Drum and Play. Just an amazing whole suite there. And if you want to learn about it, then I'm actually working on a brand new course right now for Loopcloud 6, which is going to be on the ProducerTech website. I've done a bunch of live streams already, though, so if you were to sign up now, you can get straight in there and watch those live streams. The membership gives you free access to all of our courses, all the courses on the site. No matter what what level you're at, you can come in, and I've got beginner's guides to Ableton Live, beginner's guides to all of the different areas of production like EQ and compression and filtering, all these sorts of things. And we've got amazing producers on the site too, in various styles, house and techno, drum and bass. Ellie Dixon's just come on board, amazing producer. I'm really excited. She's an indie pop or alt pop producer, and we've got a course coming out of hers in the next week. So yeah, come and join us. Thanks, Rome1. Thanks for your questions. Literally started with Loopcloud 2 weeks ago. This was perfect timing. Nice one. Yeah, that's past. I make it. So like I said, come and join us at ProducerTech.com if you want to learn more, and also join me for another studio session on the Twitch next month. Nice one, Rome1. I will see you at ProducerTech then. And take it easy, guys. I'll catch you all later.